Welcome to the Breaking Burnout for Nurses podcast. I'm Bonnie Kitahata, your host, and we have Melanie Wolf back for probably the fourth or fifth time now. Welcome back, Melanie. Yay.
Thank you. Thanks, Bonnie, for having me again.
Let's
Thank
see,
you.
Melanie has been a nurse since about 2005, and she's done many things. And so, right now, one of the things she does is called Regulate with Melanie. So, you could go to her website, regulatewithmelanie.com. And we had another podcast episode, The Hidden Cost of Overachievement or High Achievement. And we also talked about when the body feels safe, it begins to heal. And then another episode, see, you're going to have to go back and check all these episodes if you haven't seen it. So, another episode that we did was about utilization review. And then, because see, she's done all these things. Another thing we talked about was being a case manager, which kind of leads into being a discharge planner, right, Melanie?
Mm-hmm.
So, but today, this is a whole new thing. So, she lives in her van, and what's the name of your van? Rosie?
Rosie, yes.
Rosie is her van, a red van, and she treks around in this beautiful red van. And right now, she's living in Colorado, I believe. But at any moment, if she wants to, she can just pick up and go be a nurse somewhere else, right?
That's right. That's right.
All right. So, Melanie, when did this all start? When did you decide to? I call her a vagabond nurse. So, when did you decide on this kind of lifestyle?
Well, I was a floor nurse. I was a med-surg girl, taking care of post-operative patients as med-surg gals do. And I got an opportunity to go to San Luis Obispo, California from Fort Collins, Colorado, where I was currently practicing as a travel nurse. So I became a traveler in 2000, I guess it was 2008. And I drove everything I had out to California and became a traveler out there for a short period of time and really loved the area. And I ended up hanging around San Luis for a while and did really well professionally there. And that's when I became a case manager and worked for managed care systems and utilization review and all of those other types of nursing. So, but yes, I was a traveler for a while. And traveling, if anybody has done travel nursing out there, it's really a good option if you are kind of free and you do have the opportunity to travel with your van. I knew a lot of travelers that had little, like an actual travel trailer they would attach to a truck or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an actual Mercedes Sprinter van. But again, if you wanted to do that kind of lifestyle, it's actually wonderful because the pay is really very, very good pay. They usually give you a stipend that is tax free. I don't know, like $2,000 a month. It's just tax free for your housing. Might be even more than that, depending on what area of the country you're in. And travel nursing, you don't really get caught up in a lot of the drama on the unit. You're just showing up to do the job, kind of fresh blood on the unit. And just doing, no pun intended there, fresh blood, but you're kind of showing up, doing your thing. And then you leave after 2 months, like a 10-week assignment or an 8-week assignment or even a month, even a 4-week assignment. So that's kind of nice. And then you get a lot of money for such a small, you're only doing the 3 shifts many times. The people that are doing the floor nursing, there's also nurse case management travel positions that they certainly hire for.
Oh, wow.
So you can be a case manager and be traveling around. And the Bay Area of California is certainly one of the highest paying areas if you're interested in really making a lot of money in a short period of time. Again, we're in it to help people and serve people. Certainly that's what we do. But if you did want to make, a good amount of money, those are the places, LA, San Francisco, and they desperately need nurses out in those areas. So, but certainly East Coast too, New York City, if you wanted to travel in those areas. I did live in New York City too, but there's just a lot of opportunity with travel nursing. And as far as my van, I really love van life. I like the freedom of being on the open road. And then if I want to go through the mountains and hang out in the mountains for 5 days, wonderful things are available this day and age we live in that may not have been available 25 years ago. Like Starlink is internet service that is phenomenal. You can be in the middle of nowhere like I was 2 weeks ago on the side of a mountain and be hanging out with your door wide open, enjoying the outdoors, working from your computer.
Oh, wow. So there's no problem with connecting up with your
No, as long as you have open sky, you are golden. You just have to make
Wow.
sure you're not parked under a bunch of trees. But as long as you have open sky, you could put it on your dashboard and leave it there, and you plug it in. And if you have solar, you got to have solar on your van to have power. But if you've got power and Starlink, you can pretty much work anywhere. You could be a UR nurse working in your van, doing that job. If you wanted to just be like, hey, I want to be a nurse case manager and travel out to California, there's plenty of places you can park your van. And sometimes I've even seen nurses park their camper in the parking lot of the hospital. That has happened. They allow them to be there as long as they're self-contained, as far as having a toilet and everything. They're fine with you being in there. And I have seen that some of the hospitals, you've got to get permission, but they will allow you to park your little travel trailer if you're there for like a month assignment and you don't want to be driving back and forth, and there's a spot for you. Some of the smaller hospitals will allow that. But yeah, so I mean, if you're at UCSF, that might be a little bit of a stretch at University of California, San Francisco. But yeah, certainly there's a lot of people that do it because it's flexible. And then if you don't like one assignment, then you just go to a different place. And when you're tired of working in one facility, maybe you want to go check out something else, another location, maybe work in a different unit, depending on how much experience you have. If you've worked tele and ICU and med surge and neuro and all different, maybe post-op type care, maybe you've worked a day surgery, depending on what you've done. Just about every arena has travelers now. Just about every single arena of nursing. Even nurse case discharge planners can walk in and but be a traveler. So they'll take you in all different kinds of. I've even seen school nurses that they bring in travelers. So
Wow.
you really could do lots of things with traveling. But yeah, I love it. I like being free as a bird and not having any rent payment or mortgage payment or utility bills or anything, because I'm pretty much off the grid with my solar. The system works great for my refrigerator and all the things you need. That I need, just kind of basics, but it's not for everybody.
Well, I was going to ask you, what if it gets really hot? Like some of the areas are, 90 or 100 degrees. Do you have a hookup to an air conditioner or something? Because you could get miserable.
Absolutely. Great question. Again, you really want to choose your places wisely. Coastal California, you're pretty good depending on where you're at. But again, a lot of people have air conditioners in their Sprinters or their little travel trailers. They definitely are equipped this day and age with internet, Bluetooth, air conditioning, whatever you need, you've got it in that van. Depending on how fancy of a van you want to go with, you can certainly get yourself an air conditioner in there.
Definitely would want the Starlink, but the air conditioner, you would have to connect up to some electricity somewhere, right? Or a generator.
Not necessarily. No, well, it just depends. It just depends on how much power you've got on your van. I mean, some people have really huge solar setups, and it depends on how many batteries you've got in your and you're not going to run it during the day if you're working. You're only going to run it certain times. But yeah, I mean, it depends on how many batteries you've got. If you've got 4 batteries, giant batteries in the back of your van, you could just about run anything on that. So,
I guess I really don't know about all that energy stuff. So that would be for me. I would definitely want the Starlink, and I would definitely want air conditioning because I'd be sweating back there, so.
Well,
Uh,
and it just depends on where you land. Like I was up in the high mountains of Colorado, which it's very comfortable. It's like 60s or 70s, or
oh, nice.
it may hit 80, but you're going to be
Uh-huh.
golden. And but it just depends on where you are, really. If you don't want to be in Bakersfield, California, without an air conditioner in the middle of the summer, because that's not such
So,
a good setup.
so do you have solar panels on your Rosie?
I sure do. Yeah, I
Oh,
have a
okay.
solar setup for sure. You really almost need it, because then you're just generating energy all the time without even thinking about it, because they're
Oh,
mounted on your roof and
uh-huh.
you're really not thinking about it. You're just driving
Okay.
around and generating energy without even having to worry about it. So that's
Yeah.
really, really nice to
So
have.
are they uh heavy, the panels? It seems like they'd
No.
be heavy.
They're super lightweight. They have all different kinds of panels now. They have the super heavy, the heavier ones. They
Uh-huh.
have kind of the mid grade, and then they have the ones that are like super thin,
Okay.
very thin solar. Those are the most expensive ones, but
Yeah.
they're not
Well,
that heavy. Like really, compared to what sprinters are kind of made to carry a load, but they're not that heavy compared to what you think it would be. They're really not that
yeah.
heavy. You could pick it. I can pick it up easily and put it on the van.
Oh,
They've
wow.
they've come a long way. They're not like they used to be. They really
Yeah.
have. If they build them specifically for a sprinter van nowadays,
Yeah.
so it's built for to be more lightweight. And so you can put 4 of them on there if you wanted to. If you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to line the entire roof, you could. And the travel trailers, the new travel trailers, have everything you need. They've got Bluetooth and everything you need. They do.
All right. So right now you're in Colorado, right?
I'm in
And
Boulder right now. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So are you working as a nurse right now, or are you just kind of doing the van life right now?
Yeah, I am. Right now, I'm doing my program, the Rooted and Regulated program that you can find
Yes.
on my website, regulatewithmelanie.com. So I do basically nervous system instruction, regulation for people that are dysregulated, which obviously we know our wonderful colleagues in the field have a lot of dysregulation going on with the amount of stress and pressure from the daily duties that are expected of us. But yes, I do that. And then also I'm trying to break into obviously the field of speaking, public speaking. And so I'm hoping to be doing some nursing conferences. I have some specific talks for geared for nurses on the verge of burnout, better ways to be more of the calm, grounded nurse, to look at ways, regulatory tools to help you better ground. So yes, that's kind of what I do now. But yes, I am a teacher at heart. I always have been. I might pop in and do like a nurse case management gig as a travel nurse on occasion for like 8-week assignment or something like that in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
But like at Stanford or UCSF or one of those facilities, or just any facility that really has a need for a traveler. But mainly this day and age, I'm doing more of my program, which is online, which I could teach on the side of a mountain if I need to. With my
Yeah.
as long as I have Starlink and Zoom, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing this day and age. And I haven't really been a floor nurse in a long time, but I have been in the world of obviously utilization review and working for United Health Group and kind of doing all of that type of nursing, case management, all of that. So, but yeah, just kind of doing all of it. And now I just kind of backed off and more doing stuff that I really want to be doing, that I feel is very, very beneficial for and really helping people heal, and helping them be able to cope daily with what they're dealing with, especially in
I
the medical
love it.
field. Yep. Yep.
Now, how about just for fun, like non-nursing, just having fun with Melanie?
Well, I am a nature girl. I love being on the side of a mountain where there's rivers and lakes. I love to hike. I love to be in the sunshine, and I tend to go to the most beautiful areas I can possibly find.
Mm.
So that would be the high mountains of Colorado. I like to go up to British Columbia and Canada. is beautiful up there. The Canadian Rockies. I like to go to the coastal California areas, which I find phenomenally beautiful. I like to go to Idaho and Wyoming and all the beautiful wild areas, Utah. And I tend to go to the more high mountains in the summer. And then I go to the
Mhm.
deserts and when it's cooler and
Mhm.
better weather. There's so many wonderful places, and I do like to travel internationally quite frequently. So that's the only thing. If you are a traveler, and you do international, you can't really
Yeah.
cross the border because of the HIPAA compliancy.
Oh,
So if you wanted to be like, let's say you wanted to be a utilization review nurse and work for a
yeah.
United Health Group, they would not allow you to cross over into Costa Rica and work, for instance, because of the HIPAA only applies in the United States territory. So
Oh,
you can't really go international. And that was kind of a bummer
what?
for me because I had asked a few times, can I go
Oh,
travel? But because when you open that chart of that patient,
yeah.
when you're in Timbuktu,
Yeah.
you're violating that federal HIPAA compliance.
Oh.
And so you can't do it. So that I had asked a few times, is there any
Mm.
way I can go overseas and maybe live in Spain?
Uh-huh.
And that was not an option in
Oh,
the
wow.
UR world. You can certainly live anywhere you want, travel around the United States, be in any state you want to be in. You just can't cross into like Canada or, I mean, you certainly can go there. You just have to make sure you're back in time to work crossing
Oh,
you into US soil.
oh, I don't understand that. I don't, tell me again. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're talking about the HIPAA,
Hmm.
but I mean, it's not like you're going to share that information
Well,
from
it's just
Canada, for instance.
no, exactly correct, Bonnie. It's basically just it's a law. The HIPAA is a law, right? And you know
Yeah.
this, like you can't open a chart and have another family member standing over you on the unit and be
Right.
looking over your shoulder at the guy next door, the guy,
Yeah.
the patient. So you have to be very careful of that. So
Right.
it's the same thing. Like if I was in Costa Rica, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
and it's this person's chart's open, I'm technically violating, like I should not, it's just one of their rules. They have a
Oh.
federal law around you can it's only, in other words, you could share that material if I was in Costa Rica because it wouldn't apply.
Uh-huh.
So I could share it with anybody I want if I'm over there in Germany or something, because technically
Oh.
I'm not under federal law anymore. Not that I would, of course,
Right. Well, that's
but
what
it's
I'm
just
thinking. Like,
not
why
that you
would you?
would. Why would you care?
Why
And
would
you
you? Yeah.
definitely would have no motive or interest in doing that. But that's just one of
Right.
those rules because I had asked and I was kind of like, why can't I be in Spain and be
Yeah.
working? And they were like, well, we have HIPAA,
Huh.
and I had asked a few IT guys about it as well. And they said, yeah, we can't,
Huh.
because of the way the law is, you can't be opening charts, in Germany or whatever. So I was
Huh.
like, okay, I guess I won't do that then. But anyway, that's
Oh.
just for people to know who really want to
Yeah.
travel internationally. You can certainly go on your breaks and be a traveler and work for
Right.
10 weeks and then take off to
Yeah.
Germany for a month and come back.
Uh-huh.
But
Oh,
you can't
wow.
like bring your job with you there. So that's
Oh.
one of
Oh.
those things. But yeah, get back to your question though. I like to travel. I'm a travel girl. I like last year, I think I was in 8 countries. I
Oh
went to
my gosh.
Bulgaria and Greece and Poland and Czech Republic and Spain and Portugal. I was kind of all over the place, and Costa Rica.
And do you travel by yourself usually when you
Yep.
go abroad?
Yep. I always have. I've always
Mm-hmm.
traveled abroad
Uh-huh.
by myself. People usually don't want trouble any more than you do, is what I've generally experienced. I feel pretty safe, especially, it depends on which country. There's certain countries I wouldn't go to by myself as a female, but most
Mm-hmm.
of them are super safe. And especially Eastern Europe and Western Europe, you're really good
Mm-hmm.
traveling alone. And yeah, in Costa Rica, I end up going a bunch too. So, but yeah, there's just so many fun places and I just love cultures. And I've been like that my entire life since I was in my 20s. I've traveled pretty extensively my entire life. So I've always had the bit by the travel bug. I've always been,
Yeah.
a wanderer, just really interested in how other people live. And I've even
Mm-hmm.
gone to a lot of different, like when I'm in France, I actually go, one time I did have kind of a gut issue. I had been eating too much duck. And I
Oh.
went because they eat duck like we eat chicken here. and I had to go to the doctor, and I was so interested to find out, like, ooh, what's their medical system like here in
Yeah.
France? And it was really interesting, and it's not superfluous like our system. It's not, you're not going to get tea and coffee in the waiting area. And there's not going to
Oh,
be beautiful artwork or anything. It's going to be very simple, a white room, white
oh,
painted white walls, and you go in and your basic needs met.
uh-huh.
But it's not going to be superfluous like we are
Okay.
over here,
You're here for medical care, you're going to get medical care.
and that's what you get, and you pay a
Uh-huh.
little money and you leave. And that's how it
I mean,
works.
did you
But
feel like, did you feel safe and, well taken care of? Like you didn't feel like you were missing some medication or some procedure that you
no,
should have
no,
been
they're
getting?
great. Yeah,
Okay.
France is really, really good. The doc, it
Hmm.
was an older physician, but he did the blood draw. He took my money. He did everything because it was a
Oh,
very
wow.
small rural hospital in the Pyrenees of southern France I was in. And I mean, you just walk in and you wait for the doctor, and he calls you in. And in my very poor French, I was telling him I was sick and I had eaten too much duck. And he did a full exam on me and
Oh,
did blood draws and everything.
so
And
what's the deal with duck though?
it's just, it has a little bit more fat to it than chicken.
Okay.
It's more greasy, I think. I
Hmm.
don't know what it was that affected me. I'd been eating a lot of it.
Uh-huh.
Um, but anyway, I went there, and he only charged me, I think it was like 20 euros for the entire. And if I couldn't pay, he was like, well, if you can't pay, you can't pay, and so they just kind
Oh,
of
gee.
trust that you're going to be honest about it. Like if you have the money to pay, you pay. If you don't,
Yeah.
you don't. And they're very respectful that way in France, I found. And yeah, so, but it was just like basic, magazines on a table, very
Hmm.
simple, nothing fancy. You're waiting for the doctor, and
Uh-huh.
your needs are totally met, as good as they would be here. I mean, not crazy fancy equipment or anything, a basic chair you sit in, and
Yeah.
again, nothing like no fancy offices with artwork and all this stuff. But you definitely get your needs met as far as
Okay.
your medical needs. But it's been interesting to go into different pharmacies and,
Hmm.
Bulgaria or wherever you're at, and just kind of see how the rest of the world, how their medical system how it
Yeah.
works. It's very different. Their nursing system, their clinician staff's very different as far as the amount of money they make. It's
Hmm.
very different than the US. We get quite a bit more pay than if you were to go to Bulgaria, for instance, or Czech Republic, or of course Eastern Europe. You're not going to make that much money anyway.
Hmm.
You might make more in France, for instance, or in Spain, Portugal, the UK. The healthcare system in the UK is very, very good. So you're going to make a good wage there, but it is going to be less depending on which country. And I had actually considered going overseas to work as a nurse. I was looking at positions that had case management positions in Scotland. And I thought, oh my gosh, I could go work over there as a nurse and just check
Uh-huh.
it out. But
Mhm.
so there is that. If anybody wants to check that out, y'all you got to do is go on Indeed. I'm sure every nurse out there is familiar with the website Indeed, which is where you find all the utilization review jobs, case
Okay.
management. That's a website, go-to website
Yeah,
here.
but I thought you just said that you can't go there because of HIPAA something or other.
Well, but it's different though if you're working for their system. So if you're working for the UK
Oh.
system, you're not working for, and they will accept your license over there because you're from the
Oh,
United
okay.
States. It's
Huh.
that you're working on they'll let you work over there, but you're not working in the United States medical system anymore. You're working in the UK, their
Oh,
medical
okay.
system. So
Okay.
yeah, you're working,
So you would be hired, you're thinking, saying, if you wanted to go there and be hired directly by them,
yes.
not, oh, okay.
And they will. I mean, they will, if you have, it's kind of like I'm sure you have too, Bonnie, maybe worked with nurses from other countries I had a friend from Denmark. She was a Danish nurse here. Another
Mhm.
friend, I believe, a Dutch nurse. And they had to go through the NCLEX though. Yeah,
Yeah.
they had to pass the NCLEX. And so which was challenging for them. But going the other way, because NCLEX is so tough, they will accept you in other countries with the NCLEX training and with your training. Certainly, if you've been a nurse for a while, if you're like, I want to go live in Belgium and be a nurse, you could apply and go through the process of what they want you to go through.
Huh.
But it's easier to go from the US over than for them to come over here, because they do have to pass all the NCLEX and all the things that we require in the States. It's different going the other way, though. But yeah, you could totally do it if you want to go work in France and say, hey, I just want to be a nurse for a year in France.
Yeah.
You absolutely could do it. The only difference is they speak French. So you
Well, I
got
was just going
French.
to ask you. That is exactly was on my mind to ask you if you speak, French or another language.
I speak some
With all
French, a
that
little bit.
traveling.
Je m'appelle Melanie. Comment ça va? I can speak some French and I can speak some Spanish. But I'm not fluent. But I have considered going to Spain and living for a while to become fluent. Because I can navigate. When you're there, you kind of have to, because they speak. They don't in Centro de España. They do not speak any English. They're like completely. You're going to be navigating. If you don't know any Spanish, you're going to be in big trouble. You're going to have some Spanish, or get your book out or your Google Translate. But yeah, most countries like Eastern Europe, like if you're in the Czech Republic, they speak English, or like Bulgaria, Italy speaks Italian, Spaniards speak Spanish.
Right.
French, they'll speak English. They don't always want to, or they don't know English.
Yeah.
That's kind of a misnomer. They really weren't ever taught English, because French was one of the major world languages at one point, French. But the UK, I mean, you can go to Scotland, and unless you're in Glasgow, which they speak a very heavy, heavy dialect of very heavy Scottish accent, which is very difficult to understand. But in the Highlands too, they speak Gaelic and all these other, but you'll be fine. You can speak, so if you're an English speaker, you can go to Holland tomorrow and be a nurse, because they do speak English fluently. Belgium, Luxembourg. I mean, there's so many countries that speak English fluently. You'll be fine. But the issue is going to be when you want to go to France or Spain, because you got to be able to.
I had a fun little escapade, I guess you'd call it. So we went to Portugal on a little riverboat cruise, and we get off the boat and go in town, and I needed some lip balm. And so I'm trying to look up how to say lip balm in Portuguese. And so I'm pointing to my lips with the girl in the pharmacy. So finally, I just opened my my phone and looked it up, and I showed her the thing, and I'm like pointing at my lips. And somehow she goes, oh, like this. And she goes over and she brings this little box with lip balm in there. And I go, I can't remember. I looked up the thing on saying perfect. It was probably perfecto or something like that. But anyway, that was our little way of communicating, by using the phone with the translation and pointing at my lips. Oh my goodness. But of course I wouldn't get very far with that kind of communication. It was fun.
That's what you do a lot. Like, in the Czech Republic, if they don't speak English, you've got to Google translate it. You bring it to the pharmacia or the pharmacist, and you hold it up, and they'll read it on your phone, and they'll go get what you need.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And you can type it in. Can you please give me this thing? I had another GI thing. It seems like every time I go to Europe, I have some weird GI thing.
Oh, yeah.
You're eating the food, and the first 2 days I was in Prague, I was like, oh my gosh. And then that's what you do. You have to use Google Translate. Your phone is your very best friend, because
it's amazing what you can use on your phone.
You can buy a train ticket in the middle on Google Maps. You can press, I want to take the train from here to here, and be able to purchase it online, and just wave the phone at them, and then you're on the train, So it's really amazing what you can do now as far as trains.
Yeah.
It's such a global world. It's so connected.
Now, what do you do with your van when you leave the country?
I have a lot of wonderful, amazing friends. I'm very blessed. And They have farms, some of them, and they say, just park it out on the farm. Or Coastal California, have friends in NorCal that will let me park. Or I just have lots of people who will help me and allow me to park my van in their driveway or on their farm, or, so then I can leave it. And then I just have to
So
make
you
sure it's
feel
good.
safe leaving it somewhere like that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, even for a month or 2 or 3, or you would do
Mm-hmm.
that? Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah.
totally fine. It's at their house, in a
Yeah.
residential area, and it's usually pretty safe. I mean, Colorado's pretty safe, and
Yeah.
Northern California up in the mountains is pretty good, and
Mhm.
so yeah, I just, one of those things, I always joke, like, I don't always have luxury of fear, because anything and everything can ever happen. A single woman traveling alone, but I always feel like, again, be aware, but don't be paranoid, right?
Right.
It's like a fine
Yeah. I mean, you
balance of,
have to
like,
be sensible
don't be an idiot, but
yeah.
also be wise, but don't
Yeah.
feel like have this fear thing. And you
Mhm.
always try to believe the best of people. I do. And
Yeah.
and I feel pretty safe. The countries I go to, though, like, you're really good in Portugal, you're really good in
Yeah.
Spain.
Mhm.
The UK is great. Um, Gosh, Netherlands is wonderful. Belgium, France is great. You can go to Eastern Europe, Romania, Bulgaria. They're really great countries with very kind people that want to help you. I really have rarely run into anything, and I have been all over the world. I usually
Mm.
don't go to countries, though, where, like, I wouldn't go to Cairo by myself as a female, or I wouldn't go to,
Mhm.
certain, like, India, certain parts of India. There, just because there's known issues there. So why
Yeah.
even expose yourself to an area? You're not going to have fun if you're there
Right.
afraid. And so
Yeah.
I just tend to go to the areas that I feel the best and most comfortable, and it's really good. And usually Europeans aren't as chatty or engaging as Americans. And I'm sure people out there listening know, if they've traveled, they're more reserved. They're helpful, but they're reserved.
Mhm.
And they don't really care about you so much, as far as, like, they don't really care to even hurt you or even deal with you many times. Like,
Uh-huh.
you're just
One
not
way or
a
the
thing.
other.
You're just
I
not a
see.
thing to them. And so that's what I've experienced. Like, I'm just this person, and they don't, unless I need help with something, they're not going to engage with me.
Mhm.
And that's really been my experience. And you kind of had that anonymity, because they really don't even, like, oh yeah, So I mean, but again, you notice your best tool when you're traveling abroad is your brain, right? You just kind of notice, oh, this is kind of a weird place, I'm going to leave now. So you just
Yeah.
kind of listen. That's why I always make jokes. Like, I have my little antennas out, and I'm always like,
Yeah.
okay, does this feel it's the same when I'm in my van. If I drive into a town in the middle of nowhere and it feels weird, I'm going to keep rolling. Luckily, I'm not a tree. I can just keep on rolling.
That's
If I don't really like a place, or it
luckily
feels,
you're not a tree.
I'm not a tree, I can keep on moving, and I'm not grounded in this place. I'm on wheels. I can just keep on rolling. So yeah, that's what I do, and I just gauge it by, is this weird, or people kind of, I don't know, something's wrong here. And I have felt that before a few times.
Oh my gosh.
And bless the people in every place, but it's also like, if it doesn't feel right to me, I'm out. I don't think
Yeah.
about it. I'm just like, I
Yeah,
live.
you gotta trust your gut on those things, or, your intuition, right?
Yep, yep.
Those
And I
little
learned
red
that. I
flags.
learned it many years ago. I lived in New York City, and
Mm.
when you're in New York, you really have to watch what you're doing and who's around. And when you're in a big city, and look around, who's next to you in the subway, or you're constantly aware, and
Yeah.
you're very present with your surroundings. So it's the same. It's like nurses too. I mean, my
Mhm.
goodness, you walk up to somebody and there something's wrong with their eye, you immediately notice, because you're a nurse. You're like, are you okay? Something's going on with you. Or maybe
Mhm.
they're walking with a little bit of a limp, or something's going on. So
Mhm.
you notice, because you're trained to notice some physicality of anyone. So
Yeah.
you tend to be more observant, nurses. So when you're abroad, or when you're traveling, you're
Mhm.
just more observant of your surroundings, which is really always a good skill to have.
Yeah.
And most of the time, people are really wonderful and kind, and has been my experience. I've been traveling for Oh my God, 30 years of my life, off and on,
Yeah.
every year going somewhere international. And and then just traveling all over the states and Canada and Mexico, Baja, go there a bunch as a van lifer. A lot of actually single women go down to Mexico, believe it or not,
Hmm.
to Baja. There's a bunch of women down there
Hmm.
and they feel pretty safe. We're all very respected. And believe it or not, I know there's kind of this, you think, oh my gosh, don't go down there by yourself. But you really do feel pretty safe. And so again, it's all about listening to your intuition and what doesn't feel
Yeah.
right. Same as the field, right? When you're in the medical field, if something doesn't feel quite right in the patient's room,
Hmm.
something's going on, or you need to maybe let somebody know about something,
Yeah.
or even using your intuition with a patient when you're working with them physically, like, oh my God, this patient looks like they're going to crash here on me.
Hmm.
So it's all that the intuition that comes into play when you're
Hmm.
traveling too. It's the same.
Now, do you ever feel like you should have like a little weapon or something to protect yourself? Like, I mean, even a spray thing. What do you call
Mace,
those? Yeah.
mace.
Do you
Yeah.
ever consider taking that or?
I actually had human mace, and it was hilarious. I crossed the border into
It's
Canada.
what? Human?
It's specifically for humans. It's not for bears, right?
Oh,
So
oh,
there's
okay.
bear
Yeah.
mace, and then there's human mace. And I remember crossing into
Oh,
Canada, and he asked me, "Did I have any mace?" And I said, "I do." It was the Border Patrol. "I do
oh.
have mace." And I pulled it out, and I said, "You can't take this from me. What if I encounter a bear?" And he said, "That's not going to help you with the bears up here. I hate to tell you." So I had the little tiny mace, but it's
Uh-huh.
always good. And honestly, I think a really good thing for single women, especially nurses who want to be traveling around doing their thing, take a self defense course.
Yeah.
It's really good to have that, to know how, if you were something were to happen, you know exactly how to react and move your
Yeah.
body. And but honestly, your best tool is just your brain, and
Yeah.
being smart and intuitive about what's happening.
Hmm.
And certainly carry mace in your purse if you want. I
Hmm.
don't really carry anything else, but I also have a very strong presence. And usually anyone who has any kind of weird predation vibe, you're going to have to be prey for them to mess with you. So if you're loud and strong and obnoxious, they don't want to deal with that. And I tend to be just I have a strong presence when I travel abroad.
Hmm.
Um, and usually people, I just don't get any grief, because they kind of, especially if I feel any weirdness, I really stand my ground, and
Hmm.
I don't look at the ground. I look at them. I'm very strong in myself.
Hmm.
So that's part of it. But also just, trust that people don't really want to hurt you any more than, and usually abroad, when I'm abroad, I feel really safe,
Hmm.
really. But I always try to go to places where, the biggest thing that's going to happen to you in Barcelona or somewhere, they might rob you. It's the robbing thing.
Yeah.
They're not going to kill you, but they might steal
Yeah.
your purse. So when you're at the
Yeah.
train station, you want to really mind your P's and Q's, like
Yeah.
make sure you're noticing you have your bag. I always have my bag wrapped around me like a cross bag, always. I've never ever
Yes.
carry a bag that I'm carrying. I always have it strapped onto my body. And
Hmm.
keep your passport strapped on I have a different belt
I
thing I
mean, you
wear.
gotta practically put it in your underwear.
You really do need to
I
keep that
mean, in
passport very
certain
safe.
places. Yeah. Yeah.
I
I'm
don't ever play
serious.
around with a passport and
Yeah.
money. I always keep a little bit of cash on me for whatever
Yeah.
currency that I'm using, whatever
Yeah.
currency it is, because I go through how many different countries you have different currencies.
Hmm.
Just a little bit of cash and my debit card, and then my passport's put away where
Uh-huh.
no one could get to that. It's not even in my
Yeah.
purse. So I
Right.
just really keep it. And you just have to be very aware when you go into an ATM machine, or,
Mm-hmm.
and just be smart about
Hmm.
travel, but enjoy yourself too.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise, why would we be out there, right?
Right. I mean, I would always say to, because I've had trouble abroad, like with the gypsies in certain places. And so telling that story,
Okay.
people say, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't go there. And I go, no, go. It's a wonderful place, but just be aware that that's there and, take
That's right.
care, you know, and know where the American consulate is, wherever you go,
Yeah, it's
But
always
like,
good to have a number, that number with you on your
yeah,
in my
and
passport, I carry that number. And also it is a real thing. The gypsies for sure have a reputation for a reason.
yeah,
And so, but again, when you walk into a neighborhood and if you feel like, oh, this doesn't feel right, I had that happen in a place called Granada, which is Sur de España, which is the south of Spain.
okay,
And it is the cave people live there, and they're the gypsies. They live up in the caves.
yeah,
And I could just feel it was a weird place,
yeah,
and I left. I didn't
yeah,
stick around. I got out and went to a place that felt more safe.
yeah,
And so it's just like listening to your intuition and not going. And also I'm more of a yogi, so I'm like going to bed at 9 o'clock at night. I'm not one of those people staying out. I have a bedtime routine, and
yeah,
I'm one of those people when I travel. My fun is having during the day. I like to do the touring and all the fun stuff. And then
yeah.
in the evenings, I'm not going to be hanging out by myself some strange place at 10, 11 o'clock at night or whatever.
Well, I have to tell you this funny story. So, I had trouble in this one place. I mean, not, I just had some stuff taken from me. And so we reported it. And the police officer, he says, "Oh no, you, you have to look mean." He says, "See, you don't look mean, you look kind." And so he says, "You have such a kind face. They're gonna go after you because you have a kind face." And so I said, "How about this?" Like this, and I scrunched my face, and he did just like you. He laughed, and he says, "No, that's not gonna work."
Where was this at? Which country was it
It
in?
was in Italy,
Okay.
yeah, with the
Yep, yep,
gypsies, yeah.
yep, yep, yep.
And
Yeah,
so,
you have to be tough. I had a friend that I traveled with who'd never been to Europe.
yeah,
She started to get all of her map out in the middle of the street, and I was like, we're going to go in a coffee house and we're going to sit and look at the map. We're not going to do it out
oh,
here. So she just had no like and also, you could just tell they work in pairs sometimes. Like they might be
oh, yeah. I
selling
mean,
you a rose, and then you go to pull your purse out, and then
oh,
they come
yeah,
and the other person's watching. And as soon as you
oh,
pull that
yeah. They got
wallet
a whole
out,
team out
they
there.
do. So and I know, and they got really mad at me because I looked at him and I was like, yeah, we're going.
Yeah,
And I pulled
yeah,
her away, and she looked really mean at me, the gypsy, but she knows I know.
yeah,
So, but I'm pretty street smart because of New
yeah.
York, and you just
Well,
have to be
yeah.
street smart.
After some experiences like that over the years, now I'm a lot more knowledgeable about it. But
Mm.
um, so when I was at that trip in Italy that I'm talking about, this Italian lady comes up to me after these little gypsies ran away. After I'm like, and she comes up to me, and she's pointing at I had a fanny pack in front of me on my front, and the zipper was undone. And what happened was they put this newspaper, a big newspaper with this big like writing on there, and they're shoving it at me. And I'm like, they caught me off guard, right? So I'm like this, and I guess while I was looking at the newspaper that they shoved at me, they were reaching under the newspaper and unzipping my pack, and they
Mhm.
took what they thought was a wallet. Luckily, well, not luckily, it was a pair of glasses because it was in a leather case.
Mhm.
But anyway, so they got that, which I really wish they would have taken my wallet because the glasses were worth more money. But anyway, so this lady, so they go running off, and I didn't realize that they had unzipped my pack. So this lady comes up to me, and she's
Good.
pointing at my unzipped thing, and she's running up, and she's like kicking at these little kids, and saying something probably derogatory in Italian. But anyway, she says she's pointing at, you have to be careful. Look at, they unzipped your thing, and it ended up they did take a pair of glasses that I had, like in a leather case, which, I had just bought them for the trip because the checklist says take two pairs of glasses because if you lose one, then you'll have another pair. So anyway, another learning experience, and I was a lot more
Yeah, that's
careful after
exactly how
that.
they work. That's exactly how they
Oh
work. They're going
yeah.
to distract you
Yep.
so
Oh,
you're
they
not
were
paying
so,
attention to your wallet or
and here
whatever.
I am.
That's the
I'm just
game.
like looking around. I'm so excited. Oh, we're in Italy. We had
Mhm.
just come up from the subway train. So we're coming up the steps and we're like looking around, or me. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to be there. And that's when they, got this big newspaper and kind of shoved it at me, and they're like talking, and I'm like, what? I'm trying to understand, what is this thing? And of course,
Uh-huh.
they're
Yeah.
just handling me so easy because of my kind face.
Well, the other thing is, in countries like Italy and Greece is the same.
Yeah.
You have to really stand your ground. And I can be
Yeah.
really strong. I had a cab driver try to rip me off when I was in
Yeah.
Crete. I was in
See,
Crete. And I was like, I'm not giving you any more money. I
yeah.
don't, sorry. And I was
Yeah.
really strong with him, and he couldn't believe, like, I was like, nope, you're not going to get another penny. But
Yeah.
basically, you give them money for pizza or something, and they
Yeah.
give you the wrong change back.
Yes.
You got to watch the change coming back.
Yeah.
But it just depends on the country.
Yep.
Countries that don't have as much money and have suffered economically, which certainly
Yeah.
Greece has. Greece was like in complete crash in 2016, I believe. They didn't
Mm.
have, I mean, I'm talking total, nobody had jobs. It was really bad.
Yeah.
So countries like that have those economic issues that really don't have money,
Yeah.
there is going to be theft, right? There's
Yeah.
stealing. And so I'm
Yeah.
always more careful in Italy or Greece, for
Hmm.
sure. Certainly Rome, you got to watch out in Rome, but
Yep. That's
yeah,
where,
the
yeah.
train
That's,
station too, boy, they'll get
yep.
you in that train station in Rome. But
Oh, yes.
that's the big one.
That's
And
another
Barcelona
story.
too. Barcelona too. The big train stations, you got to just, I go in and I get out. I'm in and
Yeah.
I'm out. And as soon as I hit a restaurant and I'm out,
Yeah.
I have my coffee, my little espresso, I'm good to go. I get the heck out of that train station. I go
Yeah.
because I don't really carry, I have one little backpack, and I kind of
Yeah.
look here a little bit European. So no one really knows if I am European or not until I
Yeah.
open my mouth.
See, I don't fit
Try to
in.
practice some of the language, before I
Yeah.
do, so they kind of don't know really if I'm American or,
Yeah.
but yeah, it just depends. Like I really try to, when in Rome, as they say, when in Rome, you
Hmm.
try to blend. And
Yeah.
I've always done that with every country.
Mm.
I'm not looking at people. I'm not lingering when I'm in a public. Lingering's the big one. I mean, obviously sometimes you have to wait for a train or something like that, but I always really try to find a spot that's more safe, or I'm always like a little, I'm always got my antenna out. Like, is this safe?
Yeah.
Is this a good spot to hang, or does
Yeah.
this feel okay? And be very preoccupied. And if anybody approaches me, I'm very
Yeah.
guarded, which is not uncommon to be in Europe. People are very guarded in general, especially
Mm.
Eastern European, based on the tough time they have with communism. The Eastern Bloc countries can be very more reserved. Czech Republic, they're not going to want to talk to you as much because of their history. And so most people aren't going to mess with you so much. But again, you've had those experiences, so you see how it is over there. But
Yeah.
with all that said, you just have to. My favorite places are to go to the countryside. When I go to
Hmm.
Europe, I'm like, where's the Spanish countryside? Where's the French
Yeah.
countryside? Because when you get away from those major train station, whatever, that's where the beauty is. I find the normal people living in the countryside that are not going to steal from you or hurt you or anything. And
Yeah.
that's been, but again, it depends on the country. I mean, I was in the middle of Bulgaria in a little town called Bonsko, and it was a high mountain, beautiful high mountain ski town, and super safe, but Sofia can be a little sketch, which is the capital of Bulgaria. And I
Hmm.
had to take a bus through Sofia.
Oh,
So I just minded my P's and Q's and
yeah.
didn't engage, and just got to where I needed to go. It wasn't totally terrifying or anything. It's just,
Yeah.
you're in a country and they don't know and so
Mm.
I just don't ever talk to anyone or let them know that
Yeah.
I'm not from that area. Right. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
most people are cool though.
Well, this is what seems to happen. Well, it's been a long time since I've traveled by myself, in a foreign country. I mean, I guess I really haven't traveled by myself, but I've been by myself in certain circumstances. Like I might travel with a friend, but we might be doing different things at some point. But it seems like, whenever I'm by myself, or this used to happen anyway, it's like somebody tries to pick up on you, like tell you you're so beautiful, and I'm like, what are you looking at? Or they try to like pinch your butt and stuff like that, and I don't know. I just think it just cracks me up. Like they don't do it when I'm standing with my friend, but when I'm over by myself, then they try to like tell you you're so beautiful, and there's nobody like me. It just cracks me up. I just like, well, where do you get this stuff?
Well, I honestly, Bonnie, I get that more in the United States.
Oh, really?
I get
I don't.
total unwanted male attention in the United States. I rarely get it overseas. I mean, the thing about the European culture that I find very interesting, and it's very true, is that if you're attractive, they'll look at you and they'll look away
Hmm.
because it's considered rude kind
Oh,
of to
okay.
stare. If you stare at people, it's considered like a kind of a taboo, especially in France, like there's certain countries you just don't stare at anyone. You just don't
Yeah.
stare. And
Like
I
you don't
find
like eye contact.
they don't. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I was walking the streets of the Camino, the Camino de Santiago, which is the way.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you've heard of the Camino. I
Mm-hmm.
did part of that last year. I mean, I walked like 90 miles on this with other people hiking, and I would pass, I don't know how many people, not one, they wouldn't even look at you. They
Oh,
just keep
wow.
doing their thing.
Oh,
And so
okay.
I get a lot more of that kind of energy, very reserved,
Oh, okay.
not engaging with you, not even to say hello, unless you
Hmm.
really need help. They're going to help you if you're like,
Uh,
excuse me, I need to know where I'm going here.
uh-huh.
But I don't find I ever get that kind of, and from the men, they just don't do it. Even in Greece, I wasn't getting the weird energy. I got a little bit in Italy, but
Yeah.
some of those cultures tend to be more like that. But many of the places I was in was like, I just don't. In Holland, you're not going to get any of that. And like,
Mm.
especially the countries, and then the UK, you're not going to get, I never get any of that kind of energy. When I come back to the States, now, if I'm in Costa Rica, it's different, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
more directly going to confront you and say, oh, you're hot, whatever. And then you can directly shut them down. It's not like over here where it's kind of more insidious and passive.
Uh-huh.
Like, I didn't say that, or I didn't do that. Whereas in Costa Rica, they're in your face with it and you just shut them down. But but I don't ever in Europe. I mean, I'm trying to think of even, maybe a few times in really big cities I would get a look or something, but they don't stare at you because it's considered to be disrespectful and rude. So most
Mm-hmm.
people might look and then they look away.
Mm.
So that's the energy I've always gotten. But it depends on, obviously, and if you're in like other country, even Mexico, they didn't really care about me. They don't look at you. You would think Mexico, you would get that kind of vibe, but I don't get that except in America. When I'm in the
Hmm.
United States, I get men that kind of stare at you and try to engage with you because culturally that's the norm here.
Mm-hmm.
People do engage. They do chat you up at the coffee house. It's a very engaging. The boundaries are not always clear in America. They're very
Mm-hmm.
clear when you're in the Czech Republic. They
Mm-hmm.
don't engage with anyone they don't know. And
Okay.
that's straight out of like, I think 1989, Bulgaria was still part of the USSR. It was still part of the Eastern Bloc. So they don't trust people because of the upbringing of not trusting people from the communistic, the culture that they had,
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't know if they were going to be turned in, and here comes the KGB or whatever. So they
Mm.
really still have that kind of reserved way
Wow.
about them. They really do have fear of strangers that's been taught since forever. I mean, obviously, people in Prague are very different than in 1989. It's a very international, amazing
Yeah.
city, and it's certainly not like that as much. And most people in the Czech, they speak Czech. So you're
Mm-hmm.
not always going to be able to engage anyway. They don't know English.
Mm-hmm.
and they don't, and they're, you know, if you try to approach someone on the street, they're going to be like, why are you talking to me? You know, so they're just not going to be, not like here. They're not going to be as friendly and open and all this like we are over here. It's just a
Yeah.
different way of being. And sometimes it's nice because you don't, I mean, I think I was in Bulgaria. I was in the middle of nowhere hiking a mountain by myself up this mountain. And I think there were like 15 men out there chopping wood and, you know, preparing for the winter or whatever you do in Bulgaria. And they looked at me and then they looked away and never looked back at me. And there was like 15 of them. And so they just don't care. Like, you're not a thing, you know, like it is. You're just not a thing. It's beautiful as a woman to just not get any unwanted attention at all. Like they don't, the little Spanish men, they don't look at you. They're just walking straight ahead, looking straight ahead. And so
Now,
I don't,
have you ever wanted to just go there and live there? Have you
yes,
ever thought, oh, maybe I could live my life here?
I have applied for some volunteer positions and I may go to Spain actually and live for
Oh,
3
okay.
months. So that is something, that is a dream I have, specifically Spain. Me encanta España. I love Spain. I love it, love it, love it. I love the culture. I love the food. I love the people. I love Spain. It's great.
Hmm.
It's a great culture. I feel at home there, at the beauty of the place. They've got the mountains, they've got the ocean. It's wonderful. Portugal's the same way. I love
Hmm.
Portuguese, but I don't speak Portuguese, a whole other beast of a language.
Yeah.
But Spanish is something I can navigate and learn,
Hmm.
and become fluent. And if I live there long enough, and
Yeah.
so I may buy a little flat and move over
Hmm.
there. I have a friend that just bought her place in Italy for like, I
Uh-huh.
think it was 35 grand she paid
Uh-huh.
for her flat. And so she's living in a little community and has her espresso with her neighbors every morning. And it's just the kind of life I think as I grow older, it would be a place I would want to definitely at least spend half the year there. You know, because I
Uh-huh.
do love the States too. There's things I love about the United States, but you could, because it's not home. You know, when you're in Europe, you're not home. So,
Right.
but yeah, I think eventually, and I'm looking into like volunteer opportunities, and they'll house you room and board, and then I can keep my van here, and then
Hmm.
go over there for 3 months at a time, and it's I wouldn't have to pay anything, you know, if my room and board's covered. So
Wow.
that could be kind of a fun, cool. There was an opportunity to teach kids English, which I'm also an educator, a nurse. I was a nurse, I was a teacher, and then I was a nurse. I was a biology educator, and then I became a nurse. So I like both. I like education, right? I like teaching and
Hmm.
enjoy education so much, so much. I'm just a natural teacher. I love it very much. So that might be something I could do,
Yeah.
but eventually. So but yeah, there's lots of opportunities like that, all kinds of organizations where you can volunteer and do stuff like that if you want to. But again, you know, every country has their thing, and um, you can't live with fear, but you also are smart. You know,
Yeah.
it's like be wise, you know, notice your surroundings when you're in a
Yeah.
different place. Don't be an idiot, but don't live in fear either. You know, try to believe the
Yeah,
best
absolutely. Yeah.
and spend times in areas where you do feel safe, like in the
Yeah.
Spanish countryside. Nothing's going to happen out there. I mean, it's so safe. And when you're in
Hmm.
Spain and Centro de España with the La Familias out there, the family, and I mean, it's very safe places. Yeah.
Okay, so say you go and live in Spain for a few months, do your volunteer work, and you come back and you get Rosie in Northern California, where you have her kept right now, and then you come back to Rosie. Where do you go from that? Last question: where do you go with Rosie from Northern California? Do you go back to Colorado, or do you head east, or what do you do?
I never know, Bonnie. I literally never know. I might run into someone and meet a cool person, a beautiful sister friend that just is great. And then she lives up in Oregon and says, "Hey, you should come up and hang out at my place for a while." Or maybe I meet somebody from Utah, or maybe I meet somebody from Tucson, or maybe there's a whole crew of women going down to Baja and they want me to follow them down there and we're going to caravan. Or there's maybe, you know, who knows? I mean, I just don't ever know. I just kind of keep it open. I can't tell you where I'm going to be a month from now. I can't tell you where I'm going to be a week from now.
Well,
Um,
see, that's
I
what
have a
it's
tentative
so,
plan, but you know, I don't always.
yeah, but that can always change, right?
I
So
can
that's
always
what
change.
it intrigues me about your van life.
Yeah, you
Van
just don't
life
ever
RN, as we are titling this episode.
know.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
and
you,
it's kind of
Melanie.
nice. Yeah, it's kind of nice. You don't ever know. You just
Oh,
kind of flow with life.
thank you so much for sharing your travels with us. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Bonnie.
interesting that it could change around at any moment.
Mhm.
Whenever you change your mind, right? You could
That's
change
right.
where
I mean,
you
I'm
live.
I'm on wheels. If I want to go this way, I go this way. If I
Yeah.
want to go, everything I own is in the van, right? So anywhere I land, I'm there, and then I go to the next place and land there for a while.
Mm.
It's kind
Oh,
of
I
fun.
love it.
It's
All
pretty
right. Well, if anybody has questions about this van life of Melanie, um, what is your, let's see, can we follow you on social media?
You can, I should be posting more as far as van life, and maybe
You
I'll get
should.
there. I
You
should
got to
be
get
posting.
pictures of Rosie online.
Yes,
You
I'll
got to
do that.
show her off.
I'll
Yeah.
do that, Bonnie. I
Yeah.
I will definitely show some of that, and I definitely am on Facebook. I have Regulate with Melanie. Actually, Rooted and Regulated is on Facebook.
Okay.
It's my little group for my program that I offer. I'm on Instagram, and it's Melanie Diane Wolf is my middle name, so a lot of it's under Melanie Diane Wolf.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I'm on TikTok. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all of them. I usually post around my business, and of course, my motive is to help others heal in their nervous systems and get themselves in a more regulated place so they can live a better quality of life. So that's really my passion and purpose, and definitely doing that is a big part of my life. But certainly living the van life is and showing people how you live. Everyone's very intrigued, like, how do
Yeah.
you live and what are you
Yes.
doing?
Well, thank you so much, Melanie, for
Yeah.
being on my show again.
Yes,
And
thanks,
I'm sure
Bonnie.
we're going to have you back, right?
Yes,
Little
yes,
little
yes,
secret between us. But
yes.
anyway, so thank you again. And everybody out there, join us again next Monday morning at 10 a.m. because we are breaking burnout here.
Yay. Thanks, Bonnie. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Melanie.
thank you. Thank you.